Ripples at Work is an online initiative that aims to trial and refine a new educational model with the goal of establishing an online knowledge production tournament, Ripples at Work Games. I'm your host, Dr. Lena Redman, Russian-born Australian independent educational researcher, and this is the 8th video in the Ripples at Work introductory series. In the previous videos, we looked at the Darwinian principle of natural selection. According to this, under the challenging conditions of life, certain individual variations or irregularities produce winning results. The development of a person's capacity to identify such beneficial irregularities and act on them we have recognized as individual agency. This is a core principle of the Ripples at Work model of learning. Using the metaphor of whitewater rafting, we said that individual agency can be seen as a life-saving raft for navigating the turbulent waters of a complex, changeable, and extremely competitive world. It was also explained that the Ripples at Work edu system is a network of interdependent theoretical principles, methodologies, tools, and relationships that are intended to help individuals design their own life-saving raft and develop the skills for using it effectively. This means having the capacity to map out a course of action based on existing knowledge and skills, personal predispositions, interests, and talents. Again, metaphorically speaking, this is the process of mental anchoring, letting in and mooring. So, what are the techniques and methods we use to hook new information with, to throw and catch the ropes, and to make the knots that create new mental patterns of knowledge? This is the topic of this and the next two videos. In the field of modern educational theory, 4 learning dimensions are recognized as essential skills for the 21st century. They are critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. But think how nonsensical this recognition is within the standardized system of education. Critical thinking within the standardized system can only be tested within the boundaries of a specific discipline, but not at all, in a broader sense, as an essential life skill. Communication and collaboration can be demonstrated only through activities undertaken with others, with which standardized testing is simply incompatible. Creativity is generally accepted as the ability to think outside the box, so placing it inside a standardized box is just an absurdity. So no matter how fervent the rhetoric is, integrating the 4 C's into a standardized curriculum is just lip service. In Ripples at Work, on the other hand, the 4 C's learning dimensions and the strategies developed for their application are the operational levers for individual agency. Ripples at Work takes the view that the 4 C's learning dimensions are inseparable from the individual tendencies of the learner. Take away individual tendencies and all the 4 C's lose their foundation. So individual tendencies realized through the application of the 4 C's constitute the individual agency of the learner. Another essential point to keep in mind when working with the Ripples at Work model is that the 4 C's cannot be considered in isolation from each other. In practicing critical thinking, learners inevitably utter their opinions either in written or spoken modes, and thus establish communication with others, which in Ripple's at work is intentionally multimodal. That is, promoting a variety of forms of expression and thinking outside the box. Thinking outside the box leads to the production of knowledge by means of creative approach. When we exercise critical evaluation, we employ feedback loops. And feedback loops are possible only when working in collaboration with others. Let us imagine a person steering a raft on a whitewater river. The steersman's body acts as a complex system, continuously communicating with the surroundings. The rapidly changing currents are translated by the body's sense of balance. The gusts of wind are interpreted and evaluated by the body's resistance to them. Sudden splashes of water on the skin are translated by the sense of touch and temperature. The system of proprioception, awareness of the position and movements of joints and muscles, evaluates the arm muscles' resistance to the water when steering with an oar. And the heartbeat is acknowledged by the system of interoception, internal sensation. All these are essential data, communicated to the mind of the steersman by his body. And according to this communication with the surroundings, the steersman continuously adjusts his own behavior to control the raft so he can progress towards his goal. What we observe here is a system of feedback loops, continuous evaluation of the previous step to determine the next one. In Ripples at Work, the learner's perception of their surroundings leads to a cyclical dynamic between the physical senses and continuous cognitive evaluation. The learner asks him or herself questions like, how do my feelings about a certain thing and the information that I have gained so far feed into my next decisions? Why do others think differently from me? How do I know that what I think and feel is something that I have to stand my ground for? And how do I do that? What if all of us in the group think the same way because of bandwagon syndrome? How can I use my mobile phone or other technologies to gather the data I need to prove that there is an alternative solution to the problem? And so on. Our feedback loop strategy is not designed to answer the self-reflective questions commonly used in education, such as, what did I learn? What went wrong and what went right? As helpful as they may be, such questions are asked unnaturally when the task is completed. This deprives students of the chance to practice critical thinking when it is most needed, during the process of knowledge construction. Our strategy of feedback loops is designed to help students to develop their own management system through a dynamic flow between themselves and their surroundings. Learners act as their own knowledge-producing agents by the intentional and repetitive anchoring and mooring of new information, transforming it into personally meaningful patterns of knowledge. Ripples at Work creates a continuous program of mental exercise designed to evolve critical thinking skills to the level of routine practice. Collaboration in Ripples at Work is seen as a feedback loops between an individual's activity and a collective process. This creates churning dynamics between an individual trying to assert his or her personal opinions, talents, and interests, and the compromise they have to make to ensure the successful completion of the team project. Students develop an awareness of distributed agency, the understanding that others have their own agency as well. This circular dynamic between individual tendencies and collective knowledge production leads to an appreciation that whatever people do takes place in collaboration with others, as well as within the natural and technological aspects of their surroundings. Every person in the learning group has his or her own abilities and interests which are different from others. One may be good at validating the collected data. Another is an excellent editor who can assemble bits and pieces of the interviews conducted by other members of the group into one coherent narrative. Another one has a talent to visualize a scientific or social concept in terms of interactive presentation. And yet another one is very good at creating a 3D prototype or a mechanical model. Or there could be someone who demonstrates excellent natural skills in mediating heated discussions and resolving situations that arise as a result of disagreement. In other words, the winner is not someone who is good at a specific academic discipline, someone who excels, say, in science if it is a science project, but everyone in their own ways. Everyone in the group finds his or her affinity space to excel in areas that are driven by their interests and fueled by their passion. Here lies the crux of the democratization of education. There is no one in a group who is better than the others. There is no elitist culture at work as there is currently in classrooms. But everyone has their own talents recognized, respected, and helped to develop further. This is the goal of the Ripples at Work learning, to create an edu-system in which everyone can discover their own specialness, help others to see themselves in a special light, and learn to appreciate each other for who they are at present and rejoice in who they are becoming. Creativity in Ripples at Work emerges through three aspects of feedback looping. The first one is the circular dynamic between individual curiosity and conventional wisdom. Creativity is driven by individual curiosity that finds unusual solutions, but these have to be tested against conventional wisdom. Thinking outside the box is balanced with the knowledge and solutions that are already in the box. In this way, learners expand their own knowledge and also attempt to extend the boundaries of existing knowledge. The second circularity is the feedback looping between individual talents and the collective task. The heart of creativity is originality, which is often expressed through individual talents. But for a concept, method, or a product to be regarded as creative, it also must be relevant to others and effective in specific situations. In other words, it must satisfy the needs of others, those for whom it was created. And the third circularity is the feedback looping between a DIY approach and the knowledge and skills of the given discipline. Ripples at Work advocates a DIY approach to creativity. Excellent knowledge and skills in a given discipline without the attempt to produce something original and useful are not the manifestation of creativity. At the same time, a lack of knowledge and skills required for the completion of a task might limit the usefulness and effectiveness of the result, and consequently wouldn't be considered creative. To summarize the last video and this one, let's have a look at the metaphors we have been using. The transitory hooks that anchor information can be either the need to study for a test or individual curiosity, expressions of talents or personal concerns. The ropes that create an infrastructure for the flow between individual tendencies and new information can be found in the 4 C's: critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. The knots that create new patterns of knowledge are tied by the feedback loops between an individual and his or her surroundings, and the pulling-pushing dynamics between individual tendencies, a collective knowledge production project, individual curiosity, conventional wisdom, a DIY approach, the knowledge and skills of a given discipline. This is the operational system with which Ripples at Work aims to cultivate individual agency. So, if you are a parent, a teacher, an educational researcher, or a student who is enthusiastic about being part of the Ripples at Work educational games, join us in our Facebook trials. Visit the Ripples at Work Facebook page, where you can find printable pages that accompany each video. Fill in the form to register yourself as a participant, and I'll see you in our exciting and very important project to invent an educational model that will help our young people to become winners, succeeding in the turbulent ripple world of the 21st century.